Okay, today's lesson is 9.2. It is special right triangles. We're going to find side lengths in special right triangles and solve some real life problems involving special right triangles. Okay, and our first one, the 45, 45, 90 triangle comes from actually splitting the square in half diagonally. And I've redrawn it over here so that you can see it. Since both of these are 45-degree angles, that would mean the sides opposite to them would also be equal since both the angles are equal. So it's an isosceles right triangle. And the long side over here is the hypotenuse. We always go with the directly across. So it is directly, the hypotenuse is directly across from the 90-degree angle. Okay, there are two ways we can solve the 45, 45, 90 triangles. One way, it tells us that the hypotenuse is the leg times the square root of 2. Or we can use the tic-tac-toe board. We're going to practice both. Okay, the legs are the ones that are directly across from our 45, 45, 90s. So that tells us on A, that leg right there is 8. Since this is a 90, our hypotenuse is x. This angle over here is 45 degrees also, so it over here would also be 8. So both of our legs are 8. So if we go with that formula, which is the hypotenuse equals leg times the square root of 2. We know our leg is 8, so 8 times the square root of 2 is going to equal our hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse, which is x, equals 8 square roots of 2. That's how we're going to solve for A. Let's go and look at B. I'm going to use a tic-tac-toe board for B. Okay, and it is 45, 45, 90. This is 1, 1, and square root of 2. That part of the tic-tac-toe board would not change. What we add to it is what they give us. So looking at what they give us, directly across from our 90-degree angle, which is our hypotenuse, is 5 square roots of 2. So under the 90, I'm going to come down here and put 5 square roots of 2. What we do not know is the legs. Now I don't have to put an X in both of them, and technically we're not even really using that box since it's the same as the other. And we're going to go and just cross multiply just like we did in our last chapter. So what we'll have is 1 over x equals square root of 2 over 5 square roots of 2. So if we take that and come over here and cross multiply it, when we cross multiply we're going to get 1 times 5 square roots of 2 is going to be 5 square roots of 2 equals x times the square root of 2. So since we're going to solve for x, we know that over here we're going to divide by the square root of 2 on both sides. That gets rid of it there, and we can eliminate it there. So actually x would equal 5. So the leg lengths on both of those are 5. Okay, here's some for you to try. Okay, let's go look at our 30, 60, 90 triangles. If we go look at our 30, 60, 90, it tells us right here in the theorem that the hypotenuse is the shorter leg times 2. Now we know the shorter leg is the one opposite of the 30-degree angle. So that would mean the middle one, the 60-degree one, is the square root of 3, and our hypotenuse is 2x. Here's our tic-tac-toe board with this. Now you can either go and set it up using these, or you can use tic-tac-toe board. Let's go practice. Okay, so over here we're going to do this one first. So if I go ahead and set up my tic-tac-toe board, I had 30, 60, 90. It is 1. We know that our hypotenuse is 2 times that shorter leg, and then we put the square root of 3 in the middle. Okay, let's go and solve for x first. So just pretend like the y is not there and go put in what we know. Directly across from our 60-degree angle is a 9. So we're going to go over here and put in 9. And we're solving for x, and it is directly across from our 30-degree. So I'm going to put an x right there. And we are going to cross multiply just like we did. So we're going to have 1 over x would equal square root of 3 over 9. When I cross multiply those, I'm going to have x times the square root of 3 equals 9. Now I need to go and divide by the square root of 3 to get x isolated and solve for x. It will cancel out over there, but we cannot have a radical in the denominator. So I have 9 square roots of 3, and I have to do something about it, or 9, sorry. How about this? We have 9 over the square root of 3, and I cannot leave it like that. So I multiply my top and bottom by the square root of 3 to get rid of it. When I do that, on top I will have 9 square roots of 3. On the bottom, I have square root of 3 times square root of 3, which is the square root of 9. And when I reduce that and simplify that down, I'm going to get, I'll still have 9 square roots of 3 on the top, but on the bottom, the square root of 9 is 3. Okay, I'm running out of room, so I'm going to erase over here so I can go and continue, because we're still not done reducing that down. I have 9 square roots of 3 over 3. Just pretend like your radical is not there. Pretend, not for real, but just pretend like that's not there and think of that as a fraction right there. If we think of that as a fraction, then 9 divided by 3 would equal 3. Now I can go and put my square root of 3 back in because we just pretended like it wasn't there. So my answer for my shorter side is going to be 3 square roots of 3. Okay, let's go and erase this so that we can go solve for y. We've only solved for x. We've only solved for the shorter side. So now we're going to go and solve for the y. Using our tic-tac-toe board, we have 30, 60, 90. This is 1, square root of 3, and 2. We know that this is 9, and we know that this was 3 square roots of 3. It is much easier to go from the 30 to the 90 than it is going from the 60 to the 90. So if we pretend like this one is not there, we're just pretending like it's not there, and if it helps, I'm going to erase it like it is not there. Then we can go over here. Since we have just found 3 square roots of 3 on the 30-degree side to solve for y, we're going to put the y there, and still we're going to cross multiply like we did. So we would have 1 over square root of 3, or 3 square roots of 3 would equal 2y. If I go and cross multiply, y times 1 is y. And then over here, I multiply my whole numbers together. So 2 times 3 would give me 6. So our hypotenuse, or our y, would be 6 square roots of 3. Let's go practice using number 2 now. Okay, they gave us the hypotenuse, so that's the one that is directly across from our 90. So if I go and use my tic-tac-toe board, and that wasn't big enough, sorry. Come over here and use my tic-tac-toe board. I'm going to go 30, 60, 90. Okay, I know this is 1, that's 2, and that is the square root of 3. Okay, the one they gave us is directly across from the 90-degree angle. It goes under the 90-degree angle, and that was 30. Okay, if I go and solve for my y first, which is going to be my shorter side, the one that is directly across from the 30-degree angle, I'm going to put a y right there. And for this case, we're going to again pretend like this column is not there and do our cross multiplying. So when we cross multiply, we're going to get 1 over y would equal 2 over 30. Cross multiplying that, 2 times y is going to equal 30. And when we go and divide, we're going to get y would equal 15. So we know over here our shorter side is going to be 15. Okay, I'm going to erase so we can go solve for x. Okay, I'm going to put my tic-tac-toe board back. 30, 60, 90. 1, 2, square root of 3. Okay, we know that underneath our 30-degree side it is 15. Under our 90 was 30, but I'm going to go ahead and use this one right here to go cross multiply to solve for x. So I'm going to go cross multiply these. So I'm going to have 1 over 15 would equal the square root of 3 over x. And when I cross multiply, I get 1 times x, so x equals whole numbers get multiplied. There's an invisible 1 in front of that 1 square root of 3. So 15 times 1 would be 15. And then I have my square root of 3 that I just bring with it. So our 60-degree side, which is our x, would be 15 square roots of 3. Okay, here's some for you to try. Okay, let's go and now solve a real life problem. It says the road sign is shaped like an equilateral triangle. Estimate the area of the sign by finding the area of the equilateral triangle. Okay, first off, we have to start by figuring out, is it a 45, 45, 90 or 30, 60, 90? If it is an equilateral triangle, what do we know about our angles? All of our angles are 60 degrees. Okay, so if I take that and all I did was redraw the picture over here, we know that those angles are all 60 degrees. So this angle is 60 degrees, this one is 60, and this one's 60. Okay, if I go ahead and come straight down, I can make a right triangle from that equilateral triangle. What's going to happen to this angle right here? It ends up splitting it in half. So I'm going to erase that so we can just use the ones we need. We know we just split it in half, so that's 30. So I end up with a triangle that is 30, 60, 90. Okay, we know that the length of this whole side over here is 36. So we're breaking it in half when we made this line. So breaking it in half would make each part of it 18. So I know directly across from my 18, or directly across from my 30-degree angle is 18. And in order to find the area, we're going to need to find this side right here. We already have the base, but we need to find our 60-degree side, because that is the one, this side that we're needing over there is the one that is directly across from the 60-degree angle. So using my tic-tac-toe board, I have 30, 60, 90. 1, 2, square root of 3. Okay, I know the one directly across from my 30-degree angle over there is 18. And we know that we need to know this side that is directly across from my 60-degree. So, in order to get that, I am going to go ahead and cross multiply. And I'm going to erase first so I have some more room. So when I cross multiply, I'm going to end up having 1, what was there was 1 over 18 equals square root of 3 over x. So 1 times x is x, and there's that invisible 1 that's in front of that square root of 3. So 18 times 1 would be 18, and then I have the square root of 3. So the one that is directly across from my 60-degree angle, that x right there, would equal 18 square roots of 3. Okay, but it asks us right here for the area. So I know to find the area, I'm going to need to use my area formula for a triangle. And my area formula for the triangle is base times height divided by 2. Okay, my base and height are the ones that always meet at the 90-degree angle. So I have this one and this one. What was the length of the base? The length of the base was 36. and I know that my altitude, or the height right here, was 18 square roots of 3. Okay, and then I need to divide that by 2. So you need to multiply the 36 times the 18, because we don't do that with the square root of 3. So 36 times 18 is what? I don't have a calculator with me. Hang on, let me get a calculator. Okay, so that's going to give us 648 square roots of 3, and then we divide it by 2. So our answer would be 324 square roots of 3. It's a lot to take in, and we are going to practice a lot on the 45, 45, 90, and 30, 60, 90 triangles in class.